here's what I mean by an illusion. So fixate that cross right there, and you see these beautiful A-list actors here in the images. So as you fixate here, if you keep your fixation still, you'll notice after a few seconds that these faces go from being the beautiful A-list actors you know and love to being horrific caricatures that are super ugly. And once that happens, if you just look back at the pictures again, they're normal, beautiful people, and then look back at the cross again, and again they're horrific caricatures of what they once were. So who here thinks I control their eye movements? Nobody? Well, that's where you're wrong. I have training in magic, so I can tell you that I can control your eye movements, but I'm not doing that now. What I'm doing right now is I'm causing this illusion in your brain, okay? So what is going on here? How can this happen? How is it possible that you have these beautiful pictures that you all know and love? Everybody, most of these people you probably recognize, can put a name to, right? And yet when you look at them in this way, they go from being gorgeous to being awful, ugly images. And this is happening in your brain because you have these special part of your brain that all humans have for processing faces, okay? Faces are very important to humans. We're looking at each other in the face right now. You're not checking out my shoes much, right? You're really communicating with me in my face, and I'm looking you in your eyes because faces for humans are very, very important, okay? So we have specialized cells for that, and they look at different aspects of the faces in order to recognize it. Eye distance, size of the face, length of the nose. There's different dimensions of information that we use to position different types of face, okay? So now, when we show you a face that has certain characteristics, the neurons activate, okay? And those neurons now become desensitized to that information. It's not novel anymore. And then if I show you another face where it's different on that dimension, that response is exaggerated because it's not being counterbalanced by the other cells that have already been activated. They're not really fatigued. A lot of scientists convey adaptation as being a form of fatigue, and that's not really true. If our neurons got fatigued that easy, we'd all be blind by 10 in the morning on a bright sunny day, right? It doesn't make a lot of sense, and it's not true. What it really is, though, is that the brain doesn't waste energy on information that's unchanging. So if I show you some information, those neurons say, new information, okay, it's still there, yeah, okay, I'm gonna stop firing now. We don't need that. We don't need to know. Eat sugar on that anymore. But then I change it with something that's very different, and whoa, now it's very different, and we keep making those changes back and forth, and all of a sudden we're getting huge differences in contrast of face space as we go from one to the other, and you see a caricature. Your brain presents to you, oh, this is a caricature of what was there before. But it's happening in specific positions in your visual field. If you then look at the faces, it doesn't happen, right? So that tells us something as scientists about how faces are processed by the neurons, that there's both a spatial map and a facotopic map, right? And so that's the kind of thing we can now go in the brain and figure out when we look at the circuits. So that's what this is for scientifically, besides just being super cool and interesting.